Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. We're very excited to have Yvonne Strahovski with us today, one of the stars of the upcoming release of Killer Elite. She's graciously agreed to answer some fan questions, so without further ado, we're just going to ask our first question. The first question comes from Mick Jules. He asks, how does making a TV series compare with making films?
Well, it's very different. You know, we spend a lot of time rushing to make a television series, especially on something like Chuck, where we have 7 days to complete an episode. So, you know, and we're shooting on the studio, we're shooting on location, we're doing stunts. I mean, it's like we have to cram in almost like a mini movie into 7 days. So it's a lot, and you know, learning dialogue is just like you're on fast forward constantly. So I think that's the biggest difference, is that for film you kind of take your time, and for me, having been on the show for now 4.5 years, it's when I do movies I'm kind of like, what can I do now? Because it's there's a lot of downtime. Yeah.
Great. So our next question is from Paul Robinson. Would you like to continue playing strong female roles, or would you like to go for more vulnerable roles?
I would. I'd like to do a lot of different roles, whether they're strong or vulnerable, or I mean anything really. I think that's the beauty of being an actor, and that's the reason why I love doing it so much, is because I get to play so many different things and be so many different people in one lifetime. So I've been really lucky to play pretty strong characters so far, so I wouldn't mind doing something a little more vulnerable next, I think.
Great. So Sarah Browning asks, what can you tell us about your character Anne from Killer Elite?
Sarah Browning, I know that name. I have to do a shout out. My character in Killer Elite, so Anne is Australian, which was funny for me to do in the first place because I'm not used to doing my Australian accent anymore when I work. I'm so used to doing the American one, so it was kind of an effort to be Australian. But Anne, she lives in the country. She lives the simple life, and you know, she's kind of a straightforward, straight up kind of girl, and she's a country girl. I mean, she rides horses and she works the farm, and then, you know, she has a little love fling with somebody in the movie.
Very nice. So we have another question from Cho My God. Yvonne, who are some actresses who have inspired your career?
Oh, well, I remember being in year 11 in high school, and I had watched Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice, and I was just, I mean, I love her, and I love that movie, and I had to do like an individual performance as part of my final sort of exam, and I did like an 8-minute monologue that I wrote sort of based on that movie, and I've been very inspired by Meryl Streep for a long time. Yeah.
Meryl.
I love Meryl.
So Bobby Sherwood asks, Yvonne, what was your reaction when you met Robert De Niro for the first time?
Meeting Robert De Niro was amazing. To sum it up, I was very excited. His first day of working on the Killer Elite was working with me. So we had our scene together, and I knew, I mean, obviously it's very exciting to meet Robert De Niro, and it's like one of those things that you take off on the bucket list, like, oh, one day I'm going to work with Robert De Niro, and that's done. So I wanted to get over my initial excitement. I actually requested to meet him the day before, which was great. So I got to, you know, meet him, hang out for 10 minutes, have a conversation, and get over the initial and then the next day I was like a kid in a candy store. I mean, it was so great. I think everyone felt the same, cast and crew, because, you know, we're shooting in Melbourne. It's not often that you get such a legend come to town and do some work, and I think everyone was sort of like just grinning. I mean, I had trouble wiping the grin off my face. I had to do a serious scene with him, so it was kind of funny to sort of go to serious face. So yeah, it was great.
Excellent. So Fashenda Matthew asks, how is it working with De Niro and Statham, and are they badasses or are they teddy bears in real life?
Oh, I think they're teddy bears. I don't know if they would like me to say that, but yeah, they're great. I mean, Jason and I had a blast. He's really funny and energetic, and kind of like we had a brother-sisterly thing going on. And Robert De Niro is very it's very low key and sweet, and yeah, I mean, it was great. I feel really lucky to be part of such a good project with such amazing actors. So
Arjun Banerjee asks the question, who would win in a fight between Anne and Sarah?
Well, I would have to say I think Sarah would win. I mean, she is a trained spy after all, and you know, maybe Anne would put up a good fight. You know, she'd get the pitchfork. What are those things called with the hay, with the pitchfork thing? You know, maybe do some action with that. Throw some hay at Sarah. I don't know, but I think Sarah would ultimately probably pull out a knife and do something terrible with it.
Great. So Zuzana Elarova wants to know, what was the funniest thing that ever happened to you during shooting of Killer Elite and Chuck?
During the Killer Elite, well, I don't know if this is considered as the funniest thing, but I had wrapped working on the Killer Elite last year, and about a month ago I got a phone call that they were asking me to shoot a pickup scene back in Melbourne, and it's kind of funny because I flew all the way to Melbourne, 14-hour flight one way, and I worked for an hour and a half, and then I got back on the plane and flew all the way back to Los Angeles. I think that's pretty funny, living the glamorous life, you know.
The glamorous life.
Yes.
So J&G, hopefully I'm pronouncing the name correctly, asks, if you weren't an actress, what do you think you would have done with your career?
Oh, if I wasn't an actress, I would have done something in design. I remember and I don't know how it is here in the States, but back in Australia, you finish high school and you fill out the list of your preferences for universities and whatever you want to do, and the first one was the drama degree that I ended up doing, and then all the rest of my choices were design. I was really into like furniture sort of design, product design, not so much fashion design because I am a bit of a tomboy in that regard, but yeah, more sort of furniture stuff. I really like doing that.
Great. So Stephen Barker wants to know, I know that the Chuck cast breaks into song and dance during breaks in filming. Did anything like that happen during breaks on Killer Elite?
Song and dance, not so much song and dance during the Killer Elite. Jason and I did actually, when we were shooting on the farm, we found some chickens. They had, the family actually where we shot had a pet cow. I think his name was Mr. Moo. And then they had these really cool chickens that had these like punk hairdos. I don't know, I haven't really seen chickens like that before in my life, but they had these literally like Afro-punks. Afro-punks? That doesn't make sense, but anyway, okay, Afro-punk hairdos. And yeah, so we ended up catching chickens and taking photos with the chickens.
So Dave Kelly asks, do you see yourself doing more films in the future or focusing more on TV?
You know, I think both. I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to focus on film, having been on television for 4.5 years now. But we'll see. I mean, I'm interested in different characters. So, you know, I think that's what will be the deciding factor. I think for the next choice of what I do is what sort of character is it, and I don't know, maybe if that vulnerable character comes my way, maybe I'll do that one.
Excellent. So, Standardo 90. Do you think that Anne, in some aspects, is similar to you in some ways?
Yeah, I have to say I've never felt more comfortable on a set. My comfort zone is Anne's wardrobe. I did take those boots home. I do wear them all the time. I love those boots. I feel I didn't grow up in the country, but I spent a lot of time out in the Australian bush and camping. I mean, very much that type of person. So for me to be in Anne's shoes, boots, and be in that farm and spending time out there, I was in my element, basically. Yeah.
Great. So Taxing Me wants to know, what was your favorite country filming in? So I know you were in Paris and then also in Australia.
No, it was pretend Paris.
Oh.
Yes. But, you know, the movie makes it look real.